Well, it looks like I am alone in the universe right now. So, well, not completely alone. God's there. And I'll start off showing you a good clip while waiting for people to emerge into existence. Had a really great talk with a Heidegger scholar a couple days ago. Pretty interesting. But let's watch some footage I shot of the Erisioni Music and Dance Ensemble, and it's labeled, so you'll know what's going on. And then we'll come back afterwards, and we'll start talking, whether anyone's watching or not. This gives you an idea of my time spent there. And so now we're going to look at a few things before the practice actually starts. Okay, well, there we had the Irisioni Dance and Music Ensemble practicing. It's funny. Well, I started off with no one watching, then a few people came and went during the intermission. Uh, and I guess they saw the dancing and said, "What's this?" And then just said, "Okay, I guess, nah, I don't know what he's doing." I do. I am trying to finish this off. We're doing quite good. I'll get into more detail later, but right now we have $10,680 of the $12,000 goal, which I am feeling blessed about. I am also feeling like, boy, I wish this would end soon because every time I come on here, and I'm starting to get messages that I only have, I think, starting at this hour, 10 hours left of StreamYard before they shut it down until the 24th. So I better get something done before then, because, or I'll just come on through YouTube and not be able to show any videos. But that means we only need $1,380. And when I did this last time, it was nice. A bunch of people from the little corner of the internet. Paul Vanderclay dropped by. He actually contributed some money. So did Grim Grizz and Kiaran and someone anonymously, as well as some of the other people. And I didn't see those until they were gone. That is, say, at the end, because they are over on this GoFundMe page, which is great. But the problem with the GoFundMe page is it doesn't automatically let you know when something's going on over there. So I need to watch that a bit more. Whereas I've got my Yahoo page set in a tab, so I don't have to look at it, and it'll give me a little red dot and say, "Oh, something new is going on." Well, drinking a little pu'er tea from China, and there's a really nice tea shop down the street from me, run by a couple of women. I'm sure they don't make tons of money doing it, but I'm really glad. There's another French chain that has a couple of stores here, and I'd much prefer to buy it from the two women, just because I've seen the French chain in Paris and other towns all over the place. Palais d'été. So, yeah. So there we are. We are here. Welcome, all one of you, or two of you maybe. So, like I said, we need $1,380 now, and that's great. So now I'm just waiting for some names. You know, it's like $1,380 to go, and I'm done. Well, I got to do a little catch-up homework at the end from whatever they took off from the actual PayPal and GoFundMe. Will take an interest off. There was one company that I used once, and I can't remember what it is. Maybe it was, did I ever use Kickstarter? Or I used another one. And the nice thing about them is they said, this is how much burn will get. And on top of that, this is your interest. And I like that better, because the truth of the matter is when you get $12,000, there's a few $100s that gets siphoned off. And my calculating is based on the 1,200, not the 1,200 minus a few $100s. And the good news is, big firework outside. The good news is that I already have my tickets. I don't haven't paid for the container yet. I'm waiting for everything to come in before I do that. But I do have my tickets. I bought them from here to Paris to Seattle to Juneau, Alaska, and then finally the ferry to Haines. But I'll talk about that more if I get a few more people here. And meanwhile, maybe I'll play something short as a desire. If anyone, if you all one of you want to say hello, feel free. This is your chance to ask a question without anyone bothering you. Here's a Persian song played by a woman named Hila Palamon, and it's just a very short piece, very beautiful, just kind of like a violin, but not. Persian music there. I don't think she was actually in Iran. I don't know what the relationship of Iran to YouTube is. I can't imagine they have a lot of YouTube there, although they probably have it underground through VPNs and such. Nevertheless, a haunting short violin type piece. There is, and I don't remember the name of it, a Georgian violin type instrument that looks a little similar to that has the big bowl at the bottom. Looked like it was almost a gourd. Well, I don't know what to say because I'm not talking to anybody, but I will be. People will go back and listen to this. So I might as well tell a little bit about what's going on. For one thing, I just had the most bizarre, here I am trying to raise money. Last year at this time, I discovered I'm getting Social Security money because I have retired. And the interesting thing about that is that it comes to you once a month. But last year at this time in February, I didn't get it. And I suddenly said, hey, what's going on? Well, turned out what had happened was they stopped payment on me because they sent me an envelope in December, and I couldn't respond to it because I don't have anything resembling home delivery here. So, and it's just very strange. I have to now. I just checked my bank account today, and it wasn't there again. And I thought they were doing this every other year. If they do this to me every year, what happened was it took me calling them up and then them sending me an attachment with a form that I was supposed to get signed here and then sent back to them, although the office is actually in Athens, Greece, of all places. And it took about 3 weeks, which last year was really inconvenient because I had no idea. But it's happened again. I would have gotten in touch with them in January if I thought they weren't going to do this every year. But they didn't ever do this before, and then they did it last year. And if they do it again this year, it's just insane. Fortunately, I know what's going on. If I don't see it tomorrow or Monday, I'll say, okay, we've got the same problem. I will get in touch with the same people. I will say, same issue. Send me the link for the form. I'll fill it out. I'll mail it to you, please. And it'll come. I will get my money before the end of the month. Very strange, though. And it's like they couldn't figure out a way to resolve it because the U.S. government has to send it to you physically. This letter, the letter is there basically just simply to say, I'm still alive. Please keep sending me my money and such. But yeah, very strange. So I won't know for a couple of days on that, which is very similar to other things going on. One of the things that I realize is going to happen to me as I do this thing is I'm going to run into bizarre little roadblocks after roadblocks because it's just the way this thing goes. Some of it will be, I was just talking with a friend and we were saying that Georgian bureaucracy is kind of comical as opposed to French bureaucracy, which is like, a very strict second grade teacher, as opposed to American bureaucracy, which can get downright mean. If they're fine until you make some blunder and then they get a little bit upset. And so I am waiting to hear if my Social Security has been cut off again. And which is really funny because 2 months ago, I had this whole issue where I had some scammers took out $600 out of my bank, which shut down my bank for my account for 3 months. Fortunately, I had a little money here because they had to send me a new card, and they sent it. The only way you can get it to me is to send it through this place called USA to Georgia because I can't get mail. The Social Security people won't do that. They absolutely refuse. So it's it's absolutely weird. But that took what the funny thing about that is that the bank ended up sending my new bank card to Denmark. I just say, oh my goodness, what is going on? Well, what is going on is we are collecting money, and we need $1,380. And what? Saturday morning in many places, Saturday evening in some. No one showing up. Is this going to be a dud? What's going on? It doesn't matter. I'm just going to do it. Well, let me show you the big board and show you what is going on. I actually got a new piece of paper because I just couldn't find any more room. And let's look at the big board and get an idea of what's going on. Okay, so there is 2 levels of paper under here, 2 levels under here, 1 level up here, but that's too high. So we had a bunch of business. I think we got about $400, $500 worth of stuff when I was on a couple of days ago. And that brings us, so we have the $12,000 total. Now that includes the $6,000 freighter cost. We got that. The $2,000 barge from Alaska all the way to Seattle, Washington. We got that. We have the truck customs money from the coast all the way to my door. We have that. And now we're working on the airfare for $2,000. And believe me, I just bought it. It's $2,000. And that includes the ferry and, all sorts of stuff. And a night in, where's the night? A night in Juneau, Alaska. And that was almost $200 just for one night in a hotel room. Crazy. But anyway, but that's money I've spent. Someone's blowing off firecrackers, so if I get stuck, you may not hear it, but I do. But that brings us to, we had a flurry of activity that I didn't notice with Paul Vanderclay and Grim Grizz, and a friend of mine, James Durzik, who I haven't seen since I worked at JNR Music World, 1980 through 1984. So that was really interesting of him to get in touch. It means I've had people from my high school days all the way to the present. And no, one person from Alaska so far. But so we need 1,380. We have 10,680. So we've done very well, but I would really like to finish this. And wouldn't you like to have me stop doing this? Although there's a little bit of a community here. Anyone want to say hello out there or ask a question? I've got a bunch of music here. I've got Georgian music. I started off with playing some practice numbers from my time spent with the Irisione group, but that didn't generate any views at all. But then again, like I say, it's a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. Maybe people are busy. I never know. It's just like you try different times, and here we are. Let's see. What do we got? I've got one very weird piece from Japan, but I'll wait till we get more people to inflict that upon you. Oh yeah, let me remind you, here's a piece less than 2 minutes long, another piece of Georgian music, just to remind you, and that if you give $50 or more, you will get 50 files. $100 or more, you get 100 files, all the way up to $200. So if you give $500, you'll still only get 200 files. And I'll play you a piece of Georgian music here in a moment. But what's interesting, well, I just sent out a bunch of files. I haven't sent them all out yet, but I think I sent out about 25, 30 people their music. So if you're expecting it, look in your junk mail. I did send a letter to everyone saying it should be coming. Look in your spam mail or whatever. But let's play a piece of Georgian music. And if you want to help out, remember there are the PayPal and GoFundMe links below. By the way, I figured out I get actually more directly from you from GoFundMe. So you can take that for what it's worth. Georgian music, the kind of music I will be sending to you.
Oh, hey, Nino, oh, hey, Nanino, oh.
Okay, I take it back. Not this piece. But this is kind of fascinating anyway, because it's shows some men kind of practicing a piece called Horumi, which is a kind of almost a war dance kind of thing. So this shows these guys, it's not so musical, but it is kind of interesting. Less than 2 minutes. You'll survive.
Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Tadaria! Oh, hey! Vijavio! Oh, hey! Ginotana! Oh, hey! Kaibujas! Oh, hey! Wenjada! Oh, hey! Namadito! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Archamamchay! Oh, hey! Kaisebi! Oh, hey! Javito! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Wenjada! Oh, hey! Namadito! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Wenjada! Oh, hey! Namadito! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Wenjada! Oh, hey! Namadito! Oh, hey! Beliskudi! Oh, hey! Ikweuli! Oh, hey! Okweuli! Oh, hey! Abaket! Oh, hey! Abaiket! Oh, hey! Ikajiri! Oh, hey! Kalotada! Oh, hey! Koftasgana! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Omitanet! Oh, hey! Abustana! Oh, hey! Chubiminda! Oh, hey! Patotana! Oh, hey! Bearminda! Oh, hey! Kanachama! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Yashakarit! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Naizrato! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Bekiatre! Oh, hey! Bekiatre! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Arsesalo! Oh, hey! Daisebit! Oh, hey! Debito! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Daizrato! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Bekiatre! Oh, hey! Debimodis! Oh, hey! Daisebit! Oh, hey! Debito! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Segasei! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Debimodis! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Bekiatre! Oh, hey! Arsesalo! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Aborti! Oh, hey! Bekiatre! Oh, hey! Nano! Oh, hey! Nanino! Oh, hey! Bekiatre! Oh, hey! Saudiwato! Oh, hey! Nano!
That definitely had a tribal feel, which is interesting. In my studies of music over the years, I have noticed that tribal music, Australia, Africa, South Pacific, Southeast Asia, Latin America, Amazon rainforest, there are differences, but there are also similarities, and it's different than what we would call folk music. It has that exactly what that piece had: simple rhythmic structure, or this kind of rhythmic structure with kind of chanting over it, and I find that a fascinating thing. That's how we I wouldn't. Did music start that way? And there's no evidence that it did. Nevertheless, most tribes are that way. It depends on whether you believe that the tribes that are out there have evolved to that level and haven't evolved far enough, or in some cases, maybe they got to a higher level and then fell backwards. I think that is always possible too. But in Georgia, in certain places in the mountains, particularly the area called Swaneti, has some very tribal customs still in it, and it's a fact. I haven't been up there yet, and I am. When I go up there, I will be, as we say, minding my P's and Q's. What is the P and Q? Is a Q a question? I don't know. Is a P a please? Please, and can I ask you a question? What's a P and a Q? Anyone know? So, yeah. Well, so I bought. I keep waiting for a few more people to show up before I start talking, telling stories, but I guess I can't. It just feels like I think to myself, okay, what if I do this and like no one shows up? It's not much you can do. But here's the thing: people will watch this later, so you just have to go on. So yeah, I told you about my bank issues. You know what's happening. I'm starting to look at this. There are aspects of it. Oh, someone's saying hello, please and thank you. Aha. So thank you. Let's like a play on the pronunciation. I got it. So one of the things that's happening is as I'm starting looking at different pieces of this, I'm starting to get a little nervous. It's good to know you're out there, Laura. Now I have someone I can picture that I'm talking to, because there are just so many variables here. And, I start saying, will I have enough money actually to make it through here? I figured all this, but didn't figure any food money into it, et cetera. You just start, and then, what happens if I go to the Georgians and I bring them my list? Who knows what the bureaucracy is going to do? And I've got to get that whipped out in the next month. Fortunately, it's a leap year. I have a whole one extra day. But, yeah, so I finally bought all of my tickets from Georgia to Alaska and back. And so the way I'm working it now is that I bought this in stages. One thing I could count on is I would need to go from here to Paris. So I bought a round trip ticket first, several days ahead of time, because I wanted to make sure I was on a good flight getting out. And although it always works out when you leave or arrive here, at least from the West, that you have to leave at like 5 in the morning and arrive at like 5 or 4 in the morning. And it's just such a pain, because none of the mass transportation works. You can't walk down the street and find a taxi like you can in the day. I tried it once and I was just like, oh, what am I doing? So I found a ticket on Aegean Airlines out of Greece, a round trip ticket. And that worked pretty well, except then my bank shut down my card because they said, what are you doing buying from Greece? Evidently, I went through Expedia, but evidently they just siphoned the money off to Greece immediately, except for their percentage. And I thought, and so I had to call them. At this point, my bank in Alaska is so cautious. They are just like little watchdogs. It's just like if you do anything slightly different. And yet they didn't catch the $600 coming from Singapore 2 months ago. And so I had to get a new bank card, and they had to shut the whole thing down for 3 weeks. It was just really enervating. And but anyway, I found that ticket. I got my bank to turn it back on, and we're fine. I ended up paying for it just to get it done as soon as possible through my Georgian card. But and like I just mentioned, right now it looks like I'm getting frozen out of my Social Security money by the U.S. government because they keep trying to send letters to me that I never get. So, but I'll deal with it. It'll take about 3 weeks before I get my money again. Just fortunately, I've got a bunch of money in the bank that I can use, so I'm not in any sense desperate. And then when the money comes, it'll all come at once. But yeah, it's a very interesting time. So then I the way you buy tickets to go to a place like Alaska, particularly Southeast Alaska, is you do not, under any circumstances, buy your plane tickets first. I actually broke it down to 3 levels. So the first level is you have to buy your ferry ticket from Juneau, 70 miles, I guess it's about 110 kilometers up the, it's called the Lynn Canal, but it's a fjord. And you go up there but here's the thing, the ferry is not based upon schedules the way we understand them, because they have some element that you don't have in land travel or in air travel, and that is you have the tides, and the tides can change everything. So they have to base their schedule around the tides. And so if you miss a day, for instance, let's say you decide, okay, we're going to arrive on a Thursday afternoon, or worse, a Monday afternoon, there's literally no ferry for the next 3 days on Monday. There's not one on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So if you arrive on Monday, you will be waiting in Juneau. And I had to arrive in Juneau. Well, I'll get to that in a moment, but crazy stuff. not any crazier than you helping me with this. So we only need $1,380. PayPal and GoFundMe links below, by the way. So I found a ferry on Sunday, and that Sunday, the 9th of March. So that became the fixed time. And it leaves at 7 in the morning, which, if you know anything about planes, especially going to Juneau, Alaska, they don't arrive at that hour in the morning. It's not like you're going to get one at 5:30 and then make it to the ferry. So what I need to do is I need to land in Juneau. So that's the first leg. That's the most important thing. That and the turnaround on it, where I have to get the ferry going the other way as well. So you set that part of the schedule first. So now I've got my dates. I'm going to arrive on the 9th and I'm going to leave on the 17th. And I figure, in March, it's just there's not that many things to do. I'm not going to have a car to be driving around. Someone will probably drive me somewhere. But truthfully, I will see friends. But truthfully, I am there to just do this task and to go into my storage unit to get everything out to say, okay, all these boxes are going. Fortunately, I know, all the boxes are going. So I don't have to go through every box or anything silly like that. But I have to push it through, go through this furniture and things like that. I have to say, okay, this is being sold, etc. There's some tools I need to sew, because for one thing, I have, for instance, I don't need a lamp. I bought stuff here. I mean, now I can retool them because, of course, this is a 220 watt, whereas in American it's 110. So as far as the voltage, rather, underneath the current. But so I have to prepare my stuff by Thursday, because on Friday is when the barge is loaded. So I have this very specific timeline I have to follow, and then get on the boat actually I'm arriving Saturday, not Sunday. So that gets me there on Thursday. I can see my friends at church, but I'll be leaving the next Sunday. So I'll be there 8 days. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then I have to so now the question is how to arrive in Juneau, and what plane do I take from Paris to Juneau? Well, how am I going to get there? Well, we'll leave that hanging up in the air for a moment while I play a bit of music. Okay, here's a really odd one. Do you know what a theremin is? Theremin is an early electronic instrument. It is, in fact, the earliest major electronic instrument. There may have been something earlier, but I can't think of what it is. But the theremin was actually invented by, I think it was a Leo theremin out of Russia. And this is a woman named Clara Rockmore playing this. I think this was back in the 50s. There were several lounge records that came out of theremin music. And if you ever saw the original Star Trek theme, that opening theme, part of that was a theremin as well. And it was in the movie, what was it? Forbidden Planet had an all electronic music score with some theremin. Bernard Herrmann used them in The Day the Earth Stood Still, had some theremin in it, some very spooky stuff. But we're going to watch some 1950s footage for about 3 minutes of kind of easy listening theremin. Actually, this isn't easy listening. This is classical. I think it's, is it Clair de Lune or is it The Dying Swan? I think it's The Dying Swan. So let's listen to this. I'll be back. Meanwhile, there are links below to donate, PayPal or GoFundMe. Okay, the theremin, a very strange instrument. It looks like she's holding something there, but she's not. There's two bars, the electrical waves are going between them, and she's interrupting them at very precise points in the middle of the air. And it's a very fascinating instrument. I had a friend, John Spencer in New York City, who used to play one of those in a rock sense, and he'd make the thing just scream and howl. But yeah, so here we are collecting money. I still need $1,380 to go, and the whole thing is done. And so far today, we have raised exactly nothing. Am I worried? No, it'll come. But I have had, I think, one other day when I just got totally skunked doing this. And you can't let it get to you. Where were we in our tale of buying tickets? Okay, so the next thing is I could buy a ticket going from Paris, France, round trip to Juneau through Seattle. And I'm going to sneeze. Why do I always do this while I'm doing this? I don't know. There's something going on. Okay, are you done? Yeah. I don't know what it is. It might have to do with the fact that I usually turn the heater down a little bit before this starts so I don't hear the sound of it. And so maybe a little chill in the air, because it has nothing to do with me getting sick or anything. But I've always done this. I get sun sneezes and temperature sneezes, the whole complement of sneezes. So, so I could buy a round trip ticket from Paris to Seattle to Juneau, and then Juneau to Seattle to Paris. There were a couple things in the way. One of them is I wanted to stop and see, my cousin Mike and his wife, Chris, live in the Seattle area, not too far from the Seattle-Tacoma airport, and I wanted to see them. Now, here's the strange thing. So you buy this. Now, let's say you want to actually stop for a day. I mean, they put you on two different planes. So I would be on maybe British Airways going to Paris, and then get out, and then I wait around for a while, and then I get on Alaska Airlines to go to Juneau. But let's say you want to stop. Now, they have you getting out at their convenience, but let's say you want to do it at your convenience. What's really odd about that is that they will charge you a lot of extra money to get out on your time. But I have one stop. I think it's going there where I stop at. Oh no, actually I changed it. There was one place where I think there was one way in which I'd go through Dublin on Aer Lingus, and there was an 18-hour stop there, which would be fascinating. I would go out and look at Dublin for the first time and go to Ireland for the first time. The way it is, I have an 18-hour stop at Greece, and I think I will see if I can visit John Halley, who's one of the subscribers on the channel here, and on the way back, because I have this 18-hour stop. But it's fine if they do that to you. But if you want something similar, they punish you totally. So the only way I can really do it is to block it into two segments. So to do a round trip from Seattle to Paris and another round trip from Seattle to Juneau and back. And so that's what I did. Now, then it occurred to me that on my way back, I can take my time, and I've already scheduled myself to take time so I can visit a few friends in Europe, and particularly France and London on the way back. So I thought to myself, oh, there's a thing called an open jaw flight. So you can go from, I can go from Paris to Seattle, take my trip up to Juneau. Oh, by the way, the trip on Alaska Airlines up to Juneau, it arrives at 11:59 at night. So the only thing I can do is go sleep for 6 hours, have them, fortunately, there will be a shuttle bus that's, well, free, but you're paying for it, trust me, to take me to the ferry so that I get there at 6 in the morning to get on. And the strange thing is that the prices for hotel rooms in Alaska have gone up ridiculously. And maybe it's the shock of living in Georgia. And, I had people coming here for their for the gathering in Georgia last year. And, I had them spending, $30 a night. But there's still, all through Europe, you can find many things, $50, $35, $60, that kind of thing. In Alaska, the cheapest thing I could find, absolute dirt, rock bottom cheap, by the time taxes and whatever was done, was $163. And in Haines, I was thinking, I don't want to impose on my friends, maybe I'll stay in an Airbnb, over $200 each for a night. And I'm sitting there going, what in the world is going on with these people? I understand the price of living is a little higher there, but still. So anyway, so I started looking, that's the trip to Juneau. So then I was saying to myself, okay, so here's what I'll do. I'll take the round trip from Paris to France on British Airways, because I saw an opening that I could go to London. So here's the weird thing. Here's how I get to London and not spend an arm and a leg. If I say to them, I want to go from Paris to Seattle, get out, do the Alaskan stuff, then go from Seattle to London, they wanted to charge me like $2,500 or $2,300, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, here's what's weird. I had already discovered that the exact same planes will take me from Paris to Seattle, same hours, same plane flights, back to Paris for $800. So I said, oh, that's good. And here's the thing. They stop in London. It's the same flights, literally. So, and it's not like I'm getting an upgrade in service or anything like that. Same flight, same cheap. Everything I'm doing is the cheapest I can do. If I wanted to do this so that I was at all comfortable on this trip, I would be asking for like $15,000 instead of 12, because the prices have gone up. And certainly in the 5 years I've been here, but they were going up before. But most of I remember staying in the Best Western hotel in Juneau on my way out here, and it was $120. It's now $230 for the same hotel room, and I'm sitting there going, this is insane. Everything is going up, so I will be wanting to leave America as soon as possible to get back to here, where things feel like normal now. I mean, having lower prices on everything just suits me. So what I'm going to do is take the plane and I'm buying the round trip, and I'm simply getting off in London and saving over $1,300. Almost $1,500. So yeah, just insane. Then I'll take a train. I'll stay in London, visit some friends there, and in fact, I'll see if there's anyone through the channel who might want to say hello to me if they're in the London area, and that would be kind of cool. I'll be there maybe 3 days. I can find an Airbnb room or a cheap hotel room for like $60 or $70 a night in London, but in Alaska it's $220 or more. I don't understand. It's always been higher there, but I just feel like they're gouging people. So anyway, and then I'll spend some time. I can stay for free in Brussels. There's a really incredibly interesting puppet, shall we say, dormitorium for traveling puppeteers. And I can stay there with my friends in Brussels for maybe a week or so, and then visit my friend Paulette down in Paris. And I also have Lies and Corinne and other French people I can visit. So I'll be doing that and then leaving to come back to from Paris back to Tbilisi with 18-hour stay. And all of that was basically $2,000, exactly what I planned. And if I had waited any longer, the weird thing about buying tickets, the longer you wait, the more expensive they get. So that's what we're doing here. We are trying to raise the money I just spent, the plane money, because I still have to, it's just weird. It looks like my Social Security money is cut off again like it was last year at this time due to American bureaucracy, and I'll have to deal with that. And yeah, it's just, but this is life. Actually, I do believe it's the cares of the world that trip people up more than the big catastrophes. The big catastrophes can do some stuff, but they tend to focus you on the value of life. It's the mundane little things. It's the bureaucracies. It's the little nickel and dime charges through life. It's owing more money than you thought you were going to. That tends to like say, why am I doing this? What is life? That kind of thing. So I will. So think about giving. Think about asking a question. Think about identifying yourself and saying hello. I do know Laura's out there. So like I said, Laura, I'm talking to you because I don't know anyone else who's out there, if you're still out there. But let's listen to, here's a piece I played this once before, but it's such a great piece, and it's my favorite piece of late Renaissance Baroque music. It is, hello, Lynn, welcome back. This is La Folia, which was a Spanish-Portuguese dance, and it's played by a Georgian woman whose name shows up right at the beginning here. And she's playing something like a small lute. It's not a mandolin, that much I'm sure, but it's not a big lute either. These things came in family sizes. So there was a smaller ones, bigger ones for people in the family. So we're going to play that for about 5 minutes. Give me a break. Then I'll be back. And if you feel like asking any questions, like I say, good to know you're there, Lynn. Good to know you're there, Laura. Anyone else want to identify yourself so I feel like I'm talking to people? That would be nice. And here's some beautiful music. What a great version of La Folia. La Folia is my favorite dance tune from the Baroque era. And that is, I believe, my third favorite version of it. The others are, I played one before. But I think I played both, but one of my favorites is a recording by, my all-time favorite is a recording by Jordi Savall out of Catalonia. So you have $25 to send you. Oh, well, look below, and as far as hold on a minute, PayPal or GoFundMe, I do believe I get a bit more money from GoFundMe, but either way, feel free and just use one of those links. They are there, aren't they? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. But let me just double check. Yeah, just straight down below, highlighted in blue. Please. And you will be my first official giver, donator, contributor today. And right at the 1 hour mark. Sometimes these things are just like this. I did this 2 days ago, and Paul Vanderclay and Grim Grizz and about 14 people just showed up all at once, besides whoever else was here. And we pulled in some money. But now, like I say, you just never know. You just have to go, do your thing, and make it work. Oh, there's something that came in anonymously for $50. That's sending me to a good place. So, anonymous. Let's put that on the board here. I haven't done this yet, but let's do it now. Okay, what is that? Okay, where's the actual marking pen? Oh, I've got one of them, but yeah, I like the other one better. Oh, there it is. So, 50 American dollars. So that now, okay, we need 1320, not 1380. I made a mistake, but that's okay. So I needed 1320. So I have 10,000. Okay, so just write anonymous 50. So because they're anonymous, they're not getting the Georgian music, but that's okay. They know what they want. So that means we're taking 10,000. Okay, so 50 plus 3. Okay, so that means we now officially have 10,730, and that means we now need 12,000. Oh, sorry, not 12,000, 1,270. With my mistake, it makes it look like we've done quite well. 1,270 is all we need to get to the end here. Oh, and I would love to get to the end. You don't know. This has been on my mind endlessly. But anyway, thank you so much, anonymous person. That's $10,730 we now have. We only need 1,270. The day we cross that 1,000 barrier, I will feel good. We could do that today. That would be a good thing, because once you get on the other side of that 1,000, it all starts to go quickly, because people say, "Ooh, I want to give something to help you finish this." Like I say, I had an idea. If I had the New York telephone book that I have in Alaska, I would just simply start reading it and tell people I will stop reading it when you give me enough money. And I would just read and read and read. But no, I wouldn't do that. That would just be so boring. But it is an idea. Sometimes you do these crazy stunts just to get people to notice what you're doing. And I am sure there are lots of friends of mine who haven't noticed, and I will meet them and they say, "Oh, I didn't know you were doing this." And yet I put notices in the place they might find it. But what I couldn't do is I just haven't had neither the time nor the energy. You don't want to write to someone you haven't written to in a while and just say, "Oh, hi, how are you doing? Oh, and by the way," which I have done a few of those. And I don't get any money from contacting friends like that. You just have to contact friends naturally. So I have had people give to me who are, like I said, this guy, James Durzik. I used to work with him at J&R Music World for my first 4 years in New York City, 1980 to all the way through 1984. Good guy. Told me about Ricky Nelson. He was a big Ricky Nelson fan, which was kind of cool. So great. Okay. Well, let me look again. It looks like we might have another thing coming in here. We'll see. Yes, not yet. So, yeah. What else? Okay, Lathalia, dance music. So that's okay. So what I'm doing for so I arrive in London, saving all sorts of money by getting a round trip to Paris. It's just insane to me. It's literally insane that the exact same flight. I went and looked after I had bought it, and indeed, to make that an open jaw, they call it in the biz, flight to London instead of Paris on the exact same flight was $1,300 more. And it was same seats. It wasn't in the good seats. It's the same squished. I've taken British Air before. One time I got put in the back by the toilet. Oh, that was a nightmare. The whole flight. 12 hours sitting near a toilet that stinks and stinks and stinks. And because I'm not choosing, I don't have the money to choose seats. It's like everything that gets you, it's another $30 to do this, another $30 to do that. And just going the cheapest route possible was a $2,000 round trip for that. So I will buy a Channel train ticket, the Eurostar, to go under from London to Brussels. When I'm in London, I will be visiting the respected puppet animators, the Quay brothers. I will also be looking for some other people. What I think I'd like to do also is drop by the Unheard offices and see what they're up to, and spend a few moments talking to them. And then, there you are, Lynette. So, Lynn. Okay, so let's do it again. One more time. More money. Let's do the drill. Some people seem to like it when I do this thing. I know it's you need these little rituals when you're doing this stuff. Writing on the board is part of what makes this work. So, okay, so we got another $25 from Lynn. She is double dipping, and I am grateful. What did you give originally? Well, you give 25. So, Lynn, that means I owe you Georgian music. And so 25 and 35 is 55. So we now have $10,755, which means, this is, what is it, 25, 45. Oh, no, I'm going the wrong way. No. So we now only need $1,245. So one side's going up, the other side's going down. We're so close to getting the airfare. We got all the other costs minus what has been pulled out by the companies I'm using. But thank you so much, Lynn. I really appreciate that. There have been people who have given multiple times. Someone has given over $600 or so in various shades. So but I've also had really small amounts, and it's all the same to me. That is to say, it all is an act of support. And I have friends who will say, "Oh, I don't have anything to give." They do, but they don't understand that the small amount is just as helpful. But I think I understand. It's because they don't. If they give like $20, they would rather have given 100, so they don't feel quite. It's just one of those weird things that people go through in their minds. Lynn, my memory is unfortunately fairly elephantine. And also I've written everything down. Once you write it down, a couple of neurology hints. If you want to remember something, don't just say it in your head, say it out loud. And secondly, if you write it down, you remember even more. So for instance, I can tell you probably with 95% accuracy who's given. Can I tell you how much? No, but I have written a lot of things down, so that way I know who gets Georgian music files and who does. And now what's happened is I've had some people, they gave me 50, then they came back and gave me another 50. So I have these 4 files, one group of 50 marked A, B, C, D. So I have to remember who I gave the first file to. So everyone, when they first give a file, gets A, and then you get B. And if you give too much, then I say, I just sent about 5 people who gave me 100. I sent them the second, who had already given me stuff. I sent them the second package of C and D. So that's how that works. Okay, so there we are. Yeah. So what I'm going to do when I get to Europe I think we arrive, I'm leaving Seattle on the 18th, but I won't arrive in London until the 19th. And I will stay another day. I'll spend one evening with my cousins in Seattle and another evening. And this was the reason I bought the separate round trip, because otherwise this whole weird phenomenon of being charged way too much money to stay longer, even though they're forcing you to stay in a place. If you choose to do it, they don't like that. Just like disgusting. So, hey, that's all right, Lynn. You don't need to apologize. Like I said, I'm not going to hold anything against. I've had people who gave me on the first go round. If they don't give me on this go round, it doesn't matter. It's like they already gave, so that's fine. And I'm amazed by people who are giving in both contexts. So that is wonderful. Because I did this, you may have noticed on the GoFundMe page that there is an amount there higher than $12,000, but that's because I did a $10,000 marathon begging session back in middle of 2021, maybe, or maybe it was early. Yeah, I think it was the middle of 2021. And the main point of that was, if I got enough money, it would I was thinking, I think I got to about $1,200 there, and I was thinking I would have enough to both find a place, put some money down on a place, and to do the container. But oh, how wrong I was. And so I ended up finding this place, which I didn't buy, but I certainly had to buy a lot of furniture for, and I put some money down on it. I actually paid a whole year in advance just to let them know how serious I was. They weren't sure, there was nothing here. It was an absolutely empty space, which is precisely what I was looking for, because I have a lot of library to put up in it. And so anyway, I'm here now. I am serious about getting the money and getting it. Now I am committed, because I've already bought the airplane tickets. So no matter what happens out of this, I'm traveling. But I still don't have enough to finish the whole thing. So I need $1,245 to do it. That's not much, folks. So think about that. And like I say, maybe you've already given to your maximum amount, but when there will be people who watch this later, because I usually get about 150 to 200 views on these videos later. And so they will hear this and they will feel convicted in their hearts, and they will say, oh yeah, we have to help Burn. Which you don't have to, but I'll tell you this about my channel. I literally make nothing on YouTube from it. I don't have any advertising. If you see any advertising on this, it's not coming from me. I don't make a dime on that. I can't get the AdSense part of YouTube because I am living in such a strange country, Georgia. They just want nothing to do with it. PayPal, I tried to hook up my Georgian bank account to PayPal. No, couldn't do it. Right now, I just found out today, it looks like this happened to me last year, where Social Security cut off my money because they wanted to send me a letter, and I'm supposed to get it physically in the mail, which is pretty much impossible here. So they just, instead of telling me, they cut it off. But I thought I had 2 more years, or I thought I had 2 years on it, so I would have worried about it at the end of this December. And but no, it looks like they did it to me again this year. So that means it's going to take 3 weeks to get my money from them. They're going to cancel my Social Security. This is now the second time, it looks like. I will know by tomorrow or by Monday if this is actually the case. And I'm kind of afraid it is, because if I don't get the money by the 3rd, I'm like, okay, that's it. So yeah, it's a weird country for the banking and dealing with things. So because of that, it doesn't cost much to live here, but it is very strange dealing with practicalities across the ocean. And that's how it goes. Anybody else out there want to say hello? How you doing? Anyone have any questions that you'd like me to tackle about anything? I'm open. Let me know. And let's see. Maybe I'll play another. What kind of things do we have here? Another short piece of music, maybe? Yeah, here's a short Georgian piece just to remind you, a $50 gift or more will get you 50 rare Georgian music files. 100 will get you $100, and there's 4 packets of 50. And Lynn, you just upped yourself up from 25 to 50, and so you are now going to get your set as well. So let's play a little bit of Georgian folk music, and then we will be back in a couple of minutes. And like I say, identify yourself, leave your name, and then there's the PayPal and GoFundMe links in the description section below. Use those. It's from a great collection I found. It's actually a book of Georgian folk music, and it's part in Georgian, part in English. But the really great thing was they had 6 DVDs with the book to show you the different styles of Georgian music, which is absolutely great. And yeah, so, okay. And that's the kind of music that I have in the Georgian music packets. Well, let's see. So we've got another 40 minutes to go on this. And if anyone wants to come aboard and talk to me directly, chat a bit online, I can give you the link and you can come on. I don't mind talking to anybody. I've got, anybody, if you want to ask questions there, or if you want to write a question down in the comment section on the stream chat there, feel free, and I will get to it. So let's see. So yeah, so I got my plane tickets. Everything's good. I'm coming back through Europe, and I'm going to spend a couple of weeks. I'm thinking about going to Switzerland, but then again, I've only got less than 2 weeks to travel, and I don't like going to Switzerland for less than 2 weeks. I'd rather spend 2 full weeks there and visiting my friends and walking through the mountains. So I'll save that for maybe next year or the year after. And although I really do want to go, but like I say, this is an emergency that has to be dealt with, and I've already been to. So in 2022, I was in the Czech Republic, so I saw Czech puppetry people there. Then in 2020, in the late summer of 2022, I was in Germany and I saw my German friends, as well as going to the Bridges of Meaning Festival. This last year, I didn't do anything because I'm here, you know, and but I did have the people. I had a lot of people visit me. So I had the 6 guys who came as part of the gathering in Georgia, and I will be putting out another call to the gathering in Georgia. I'm actually going to put out 2. One for these kind of guys again. Now these are the kind of guys pretty energetic, like hiking around and doing stuff like that. And then one for people who are a little less energetic, you know, people who are not trying to get to the top of every mountain and such like that. And we'll do it that way. But those guys wanted to come back. So I almost started thinking, all right, I need to do these in 2 separate tracks, maybe do 2 a year, but not this year. This year, there's a puppet festival I'm going to try to put on in October here. And I hope this doesn't distract me from that. And I need to do some things in the next month. I'm leaving here on March 6th. I've got my tickets, so I'm committed, which really now puts the pressure on to get the tax stuff related to the customs finished, as well as I will take a big chunk of money over to the Lasare company and give it to them. And, you know, who knows? Maybe I've totally underestimated this, but, you know, you just have to do it. At a certain point, the nice thing is, it's a bad thing too. The bad part is it's going to take 3 months to get my stuff from Alaska to here. The good thing is, if I am a bit short of money, I'll have 2 more months to make it up. 3 actually, 2.5 months to make it up. So that's you know, there we are. You know, it's just like, okay, there's a good side and a dark side. But yeah, and and again, Suez Canal, trouble. Panama Canal, trouble. Shipping across the world is now just crazy. And if I think about it for too long, I think, what's going to happen to my stuff? You know, what if it gets taken by the Houthi rebels in the Suez Canal? I don't think I'll be on one of those ships, but still, what if it falls off the water in a storm? You start thinking about these, and here I've actually gone through the scenario. What if this stuff falls off the water in a storm? And I think I would be really, really disturbed for a day, because I've gone through other bits of bad news, and it lasts for about a day, and then I start realizing, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about that. You know, evidently God didn't want it to get through. So there I am. Let's try to recreate as much of my journals as possible, because that would be the first thing I would think of, is my journals and my photos and all the CDs and cassettes I have of lectures I've given and other people have given, all of that kind of stuff. That would be my first. Those are the things I really want. And also my art, which is mostly in books. So that would be the first thing I would think about. Then I would think about all this junk. And I would think to myself, okay, well, thankfully I've recreated a certain kind of a thing here. I've got way too many files on a computer. It's not the end of the world. You know, I think the journals would hurt most of all. But at the same time, I want that stuff here. And I want to, you know, I think, you know, I don't have children. and you say to yourself, where are you going? You know, like, I mean, sometimes I start thinking, am I going to die alone? You know, it's just like, fortunately, really fortunately, my health is good. And I am hoping I just die of a heart attack like that someday because I'm too big or whatever. Because I'd rather do that than go through 6 years of, you know, just like real uh, feebleness and such. I don't think my brain is going to stop. It shows no signs of stopping. So I think I'll be conscious no matter what. I've often thought, if I went blind, what would I do? I go like, well, there's hearing. And if I lost my hearing, what would I do? Well, there's seeing. Never lost both, what would I do? Don't know. But I run through these things because you never know. It's just like you can't say, I am sure everything will work out. It just doesn't work that way. So that if something bad happens, like I said, take the blow, feel it, and then get out of there as soon as possible. Stop. This happened when I was in 2005. I had been given a 3-month leave of absence by a rather shady boss at my radio station, and he told me to call him before I came back. To call him, get in touch, let him know I was coming back. And he had said this to a guy who was doing the news there, and then didn't hire him back. And I said, I will bet he tries something similar to me. And sure enough, he did. And he fired me 2 weeks before when I was still in Austria, he fired me. And it was just like, I could just feel everything falling, you know, because he had actually encouraged me, yeah, you should borrow money from the bank for this and such. And I had all this money I owed. And by the end of the year, I was $19,000 in debt. But, you know, like I said, I went through the dark part in a day. I just went through this thing, and then I just said, well, you know, I'm alive. At least I'm not a person who had a family who was depending on them. At least, you know, and I said, okay, it's going to be difficult, but we're going to get through it. And I did. Within 2 years, I was no longer in debt, and things worked out. So, and when I got back to Alaska, first thing I did was started a puppet troupe because that's how you have to respond to life. You don't respond to life by letting it knock you over, even when it does. You don't just go, "Oh no, this is so bad." It's really funny watching Gen Zs and below. You hear them saying, I don't understand why I have to work 40 hours a week to support myself. Just like, what are you talking about? I actually watched a video about that today. But so here we are. We only need $1,245 to finish the whole thing off. Let me actually go over here and look at what's going on. Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Anonymous. We've made $75 on this. And before that, my old friend, James Dursick from New York City, still lives there. Interesting. Still lives in the same house that he was in. I think he probably inherited it from his family. But let's see. Let's look at the GoFundMe page again. Haven't had anything come through PayPal yet. Yeah, it's the same. But you know, I do this. And you just got to do it, because if you don't get anything. So even if I only make 75 today and don't get that much closer, it's still better than not getting closer at all. But now I've got another deadline, and that is after today, I only have 8 more hours of StreamYard I can use before I've used too much free stuff for the month, and I don't have the money to buy to actually get it. If I did, I wouldn't be asking for this. One thing I'm thinking is whether I should publish my really dark novel, which would take a bit of money away from me. But on the other hand, I think people would buy it. So let me know if you think I should or not. Would you buy it if it was like $20? You know, that kind of thing. All right, so, or $20 for a hardback. We'll see. What am I doing? Oh, let's play some music. Okay, let's play something really funny. So I mentioned puppetry and my puppet journeys. Here's a video I found. One of the first puppet videos I ever found on YouTube, when I was starting to look for these things, I wanted to teach people about puppetry, and I had nothing to go by except for what I could find on the internet. And so this was one, it's only a minute long, and it's a guy playing a hurdy-gurdy, and hurdy-gurdy is one of these things, it has a crank at the end, but it has something like piano keys, but what they're doing is moving something that is like a rotating circle, but it's a rotating circle made of the same kind of substance that a bow would be made out of. So it's getting a metallic violin kind of sound, and then you press different keys on it. But more importantly, he's got two little puppets doing something. One of them is an extraordinarily detailed uh, automaton that he is moving with the music with his feet. The other one is an ancient kind of puppet called a jigging puppet, which he then activates halfway through with his other foot. And it's just really fascinating. Now, I wish the quality of this was better, but I think you'll get a good idea. So here it goes, the hurdy-gurdy puppet. This is from France. Enjoy it. We'll be back in one full minute. So simple. And I actually upgraded the quality on that a bit by enlarging it and giving it a little black in the front and adjusting the color, which was atrocious. But I find that such a beautiful, short little piece. It's just, there's something about it I really love. Okay, so I'm here. I've got a half hour to go. Now what? Anyone got questions for me? Anyone got any thoughts? If you have a question, please feel free to ask. Somehow, I think Saturday morning is not a good time. I get more action on a Sunday morning. It's hard to know. It depends on where you're living, but it's going to be the earlier part of Saturday, unless you're in Europe, in which is the later part. I am never sure what time, what works when. And here's a weird thing. Often, if I do something in the morning, like if I do it right now, it is about 11:30 at night here. And if I do this at, say, 7 in the morning, we'll just say 7 o'clock in the evening on Saturday night. I never know what produces, who's watching. But then again, there's another thought. Maybe everyone's already visited this and they're tired of it, which is possible. Just like, put me out of my misery. We only need $1,245. We have $10,755. And let's see, I explained everything that's going on as far as having the tickets and such. The next big thing is I have to go deal with the customs people and give them a big list of something, and I'm not sure exactly what. And I need to go talk to the people who are the shippers, but I can't talk to them until I get the $12,000. But I can go talk to the tax people soon, so maybe Monday. Okay. I'm here. I'm waiting. Yeah. Now, what else is there? Well, I was doing this thing the other day, and I still have these ready to go, where I was discussing some of my top 10 lists, and I have one that's interesting. Okay, here's a really strange one. It's not strange, it's just interesting. And this is something I'm thinking of making a video about for the Anadrome channel, because I'll probably put lists, more like top 10 lists of stuff over there. And this is, these are my top 10 greatest female singers who ever lived. Although I'm cheating, it's actually 11. And at the moment, this is not in order, but I will tell you a little bit about them. So here's the list. You have Sarah and Maybelle Carter from the Carter family, and they're basically at the beginning of country music, and what they did is so important. And that's the two, rather than, so that makes it 11, but they go together. Then there's Tina Turner. I think she's very important as a singer. Along with that, obviously, Aretha Franklin. And also in the black jazz, blues, gospel world, you have Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, and Mahalia Jackson. And then I have Janis Joplin, who, what's interesting about her is she takes certain black styles and brings them to white popular music, giving permission, in a sense, for women who are singing in a kind of wispy manner to sing with this much more intense black style. And then I have Edith Piaf from France, and Joni Mitchell, who is a very important singer-songwriter. And then finally from Egypt, I have Kulthum, who is extraordinarily important. And I don't know how I'm going to organize that list, but I really like the idea of making a list. It's not of the best, it's of the most important culturally. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. I often see lists of, you see a list and it's people saying, these are the best-selling artists of all time, which tells me nothing. It doesn't matter if a person's a great selling artist. It matters that their music has meaning. So, for instance, Whitney Houston was a really big selling artist. And I would say technically, as far as like coming out of the gospel tradition, her and Mariah Carey have much more impressive vocal techniques. And yet, to me, none of them can hold a candle to Mahalia Jackson in the gospel world, or Aretha Franklin, or Ella Fitzgerald in jazz. Because it's not about technique, although technique does help to communicate, but it is about the message. So, what are you saying here? No Whitney Houston or Dolly Parton. No, Dolly Parton has unfortunately done far too much commercial music, and that's Whitney Houston's problem too. So, and the difference in commercial music and this other stuff is that this other stuff always matters, and commercial music simply doesn't. And there's a difference. So when Dolly Parton is singing Jolene, that's real country music, which is not so much commercial. But when she's singing, I don't know, Two Doors Down, or when she's singing I Will Always Love You, same with Whitney Houston, that's pure commercial stuff. And it is made primarily to sell more than anything else. Whereas these other musicians are not doing things primarily to sell. They have no other means of they are expressing something deep within their culture. Edith Piaf from France, I once watched a television special in France, and they had the people watching vote on who was the most important person in French culture. And so there's this list, and like number 3 was Louis XIV, Louis XIV. Number 2 was Napoleon, and number 1 was Edith Piaf, because she represented the soul of the country. And poor Whitney Houston, I mean, she kind of sold her soul, Dolly became like a caricature of herself. And I know there's a lot of people who say, but and I think a lot of people hear technique. It's like Mariah Carey's got the best technique. And yet, that technique does not equate to meaning, to connection to the heart and soul of people. And so my list is like that. Yeah, but that's why I make lists. You can make your own list someday of, think about it. Who do you think are the best female musicians? And like I say, I never think popularity. Popularity to me doesn't mean much in the long run, because all these names will be, they have to have depth and meaning. So that's what I think of when I think of, what makes someone not just great but important. Someone who really connects. That's why Joni Mitchell is important, because she really represents a very different kind of singer. Joan Baez came before her doing these kind of folky songs, but Joni Mitchell is influenced by people like Bob Dylan, and she doesn't imitate Bob Dylan at all, but rather she takes the freedom that Bob Dylan gave in the lyrics and applies it. So, who is a really important Joni Mitchell disciple? Taylor Swift, actually. And that's why, but Taylor Swift would never make this list. I don't know, maybe 50 years down the road, Taylor Swift will have done enough to represent. Taylor Swift is really interesting because she's coming out of a hyper commercialized country music and then into hyper commercialized pop music. And she's actually doing something that almost nobody does. It's really easy to find people like Dolly Parton, who will, or Whitney Houston, who started off in something with a tradition and with depth, and then move into the commercial realm, and then start to become someone who just simply sells out tickets. Whereas Taylor Swift, to me, seems to be moving the other direction. She's coming from a very commercialized place. All her early influences are people like Shania Twain, and who's the other ones? The names are on the tip of my tongue. But these people who's Leanne Rimes, and the Dixie Chicks. Although the Dixie Chicks had a bit more roots than either Leanne Rimes or Shania Twain, but yet at the same time they were a pretty commercial organization. But she's influenced by those people. She's not influenced by, I don't know, Kitty Wells or Emmylou Harris or any number of the great country singers, Patsy Cline, or she's influenced by Dolly Parton, but I'm not sure what part of Dolly Parton's career, the really good stuff or the later stuff, because name a Dolly Parton song in the last 30 years, but Taylor Swift seems to be going the other way, coming from a really commercialized place, going to a very personalized artistic place, and people seem to be following with her. Alessa White Gloves. I don't know who that is. Yeah. Doro. Are you talking about the heavy metaler from the late 80s, early 90s? That Doro? But yeah. Yeah, I don't know who Alessa White Gloves is, but obviously, if I don't know who she is, there's a good chance she wouldn't make it. Yeah, Doro. I see the smile there. So I actually have one of her albums in my collection. So yeah, but there are other names I could choose. Like I was debating Beyonce, but there's still too much of a commercial edge on Beyonce. And like I said, Taylor Swift is kind of moving in an unusual direction. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye. She's got 10 albums worth of music now, but she's got about 5 songs I really think are special. What would they be, Bern? So, well, let me play one more piece of music here, and then I'll just wrap this up. If I only get $75 today, so be it. I've had these kind of days before, and I had a really good day the other day, so I'm going to have to figure out I'll be back soon. I was thinking of coming back. Oh, maybe I have to come back tomorrow. But I've got to deal with this. I got to think of a new angle. So, wrong one. This is a bit of Italian folk music by Trilanti. And what I like about this is a style. I did a whole video called Neo-Tarantismo, and this is this Neo-Tarantismo, this old folk style of dancing and singing brought into the 21st century and actually was very popular in Italy. One of the most popular forms there. So we're going to play a bit of about a 5-minute live performance from Trilanti. And then we'll be back and get ourselves out of here.
Oh santo vito mio, santo vito, oh santo vito mio degli daranti, facci la chiari tu, facci la chiari tu di sta daranta. Awelli, awella, oh bella di sto cuore mia come di pozza ma. Awelli, awella, oh bella di sto cuore mia come di pozza ma.
Okay, well, good news. Someone just came through. Ken Frankel, who's a name from like this dark recesses of my past. He used to work with me along with James Durzik at JNR Music World in my first 4 years in New York City. And yeah, quite a while. Thank you so much. And he contributed 100 American dollars. And Ken, I will be sending you 100 Georgian music files. I'm living in Tbilisi, Georgia. That's not, near Atlanta. That's in the Caucasus Mountains. So let me go ahead and write this up here. Hold on a minute. So the new regime, let's write your name, Ken Frankel. Wow. So 100 US dollars. What a crazy world. So we now have $10,855 towards the $12,000 goal and $1,000. We need $1,145 towards to get to the end here, which is amazing. And yeah, I guess it pays to plead and wheedle or pleadle. So thank you so much. How strange to, I've had people get in touch with. Did you hear about this through James, or did you hear about this just on your own somehow? That's really fascinating to me. Okay, so we got about 8 minutes before I get out of here, and I mean, if a bunch of money came in, I would not say no. I would stick around a little while longer. And that was E. Trilante doing one of the pizzicatas, and I really like the dancers in that, because that's kind of what's missing is like this, our dances have become these weird things we do in the dark, and I just think that's, oh, really? That's really fascinating. Thanks, Ken. That's good to know that you've actually found me on my own. But yeah, that's pretty amazing. Thank you very much. Hey, you never know. Someone types in "Where's Burn Power" and you end up here at YouTube, or you just find me by accident. Fascinating. So yeah, there we are. So not bad. So we at this moment brought in $175 today, which is good. We're getting close. Oh, I would love to get past the $1,000 mark before I get out of here. Wouldn't you love me to have that happen? And I will stick around if someone throws in even just a small amount through PayPal or GoFundMe. Last time I didn't, unfortunately, the GoFundMe page does not let me know, so I just renewed it again, and it's doing the same. But if you send me something, let me know. You'll keep me afloat. I'd love to get past the $1,000 mark. It'd be great to say I owe $995, rather than $1,145. Just saying. So if you feel like giving, this is a good time. Otherwise, I'm going to get out of here at the top of the hour. It's up to you. Do you want to hear more music? Do you want to hear me talking forever? You could do that by giving me money. And I have a really ridiculously bizarre Japanese piece coming up here, kind of heavy metal. If you want to hear that, you need to give me some money. Heavy metal played by children under 10. So there you are. So yeah, I also have the first, what I would consider to be the first postmodern video that was done for somewhat mass market. I also have a piece of Lebanese music. Hayam Yunus, or is it Hayam? Probably. Anyway, I've got those ready to go. If someone throws in some more money, I will continue. If someone doesn't throw in any more money before the top of the hour, I'm out of here for today because it's midnight here. It's almost midnight in Tbilisi, Georgia. Well, that's really interesting to know, Ken. You never know who's lurking around underneath what you don't see. That's the strange thing about this whole screenal video world here. And yeah. So, well, Tbilisi, it's a quiet night out there. Although it is, I did hear some fireworks. People often blow fireworks off here for people's birthdays, and I don't mean have a few fireworks. I mean shoot off things much bigger than Roman candles into the sky. You know, like someone's putting on a special party, and no one does anything here. I can't see any law against it. You know, I have never heard of anyone being arrested for shooting off fireworks in the middle of the city. So it's just it's a funny culture. And I had a friend come over yesterday night, a guy named Ucha, who is a philosopher, and he was great. I mean, we just had this great knockdown, drag him out philosophical discussion. And this guy's a serious philosopher. He's taller than me. At first I thought he was shorter, because when I met him at this Supra the other day, he was like kind of hunched over, but he's hunched over because he's like so wiry and kind of always got ideas going and stuff. But that's one of the reasons I'm here, is because Georgians love to talk. And he's the person who said, you know, friendship is almost like a religion here. I think he said actually friendship is a religion. And we talked about religion. We talked about all sorts of stuff. We talked about, you know, we were going over all sorts of philosophical ideas. We spent at least an hour talking about the nature of time and disagreeing about it. And he would say, well, you know, Heidegger said this, but before that there was Bergson, and, you know, he would just be going over that. Now, I haven't read all these people, but then again, I'm not really afraid to wade into, not so much where I don't know, but where I have my own ideas. I've been thinking about things. And one of the things people have told me is that my sources are just very different from everybody else's. And I don't know. I didn't plan on it, but and what is the relationship between my sources and the major philosophical sources? That's a good question. I don't know. So, any last thoughts? Looks like the money is not coming in anymore. So I will get out of here in 2 minutes, unless I'm going to renew the page here. No, that's fine. And like I said, I've got the tickets, round trip tickets. If you go back and listen to this video, you will hear my whole discussion on the craziness of buying the tickets. But I am absolutely now committed to doing this, leaving March 6th, arriving back here on April 6th, spending 8 days in Alaska, spending time in Europe. I was thinking of seeing Paul Vanderklay on the way through, but Paul was he's got, you know, it's like there's stuff going on. It wouldn't be a good time. So alas, we'll see each other, as we both agreed on that. Let's see. Well, one more minute and I'm out of here, because I'll get out just slightly early so that when I get out early, these file over to Odyssey, which is a screening channel. And if I do it over 2 hours, then, but this kind of thing doesn't matter if it goes over there or not. But still, since I haven't got any new stuff coming in, there's no point in dragging this out. And it will be midnight in a moment. So, well, thank you for being here. Remember, you can give anytime through PayPal or GoFundMe below. I'm going to try to see if there's anything happening on GoFundMe. Yesterday, I didn't look, or not yesterday, 2 days ago, I didn't look. And there was all sorts of stuff in GoFundMe that just because I couldn't renew it, or I saw this one anonymous thing and didn't think to look below it. But yes, so the final for today, we now have $10,855 out of our $12,000 goal. And we're working towards the final $1,145 to get the airplane tickets, which I've already bought, but this money is now going for the big stuff. And thank you, Ken Frankel, for just showing up out of the blue and for being a lurker all this time. Thank you, Lynn, for double dipping, and both of you will be getting your free Georgian music files, rare Georgian music files. And then James Durzik gave, also another JNR Music World employee, coming from a different line. I think he found me on Facebook. And we'll call it a day. Thank you. From Georgia, this is Bernd Droabit. We will meet again.